Welcome to Paddling Adventures Radio. I'm Sean Rowley, and with me is Derek Specht.
Hello.
What's happening, Derek?
Not much, man. You're back.
I am
a short one.
Back. Yeah, it was just a couple of days. Very limited canoe tripping involved, but
Yeah.
still being out in nature is being out in nature.
It is. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's an area of Ontario that I've never been to, and I don't know if I will. We both know why.
You will. The ticks are not as bad as you seem to think they are,
I have a tick paranoia.
right?
Can't help it. Can't help it.
They're all sitting there. There was like I could see like scores of ticks, and they were holding little signs saying, "Where's Derek?
Where's Derek?
Derek, Derek, red rum, red rum."
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you know what? We did the tick check, and nothing.
I don't know. Like, I have actually never had a tick on me, but I
had the one on the back of my leg when I was younger,
Yeah.
but whoopty.
back in the 1800s.
Early 1800s.
Back in the 1900s.
Yeah, back in the 1900s. Yeah, back in the 1900s.
Don't say that.
When I was a wee lad,
Way
knee
back
high
in the
to a
1900s.
grasshopper. Yeah, so Kevin Callan is doing the Frontenac Challenge. There's 11 trails, 160 kilometers worth in Frontenac Provincial Park, and they have this challenge. You do from September 1st to October 31st. You have to do all 11 trails.
Okay.
And they've got a sign somewhere on each trail.
Oh.
And you have there's a clue or code word on it.
Oh, okay.
So you have to find that sign.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite obvious.
Yeah.
Where, you know, it's the only thing different is they could have somebody standing there with it, and as you walk by, they slap you with it. You know, that's the only way it would be more obvious.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you take the picture of it, or you write down whatever it says
Yeah.
the clue is, and at the end you submit all your 11 clues, and
Yay.
I guess they have a big barbecue at the end. Everybody can come and get their challenge
There are
patch.
millions of dollars.
Yeah, billions, trillions of dollars. Anyway, so Kevin's doing it. He's done. He did a couple by himself. He's done one with Evan Holt of traversing.ca.
Yes, I saw that.
Yep, and he's been putting the videos on his YouTube channel, Kevin Callan, the Happy Camper YouTube channel, so you can see what they are. And I've been trying to we've been trying to arrange time to go out on a canoe trip, and he goes, "I don't have the time for the canoe trip right now because I'm doing this. But if you want, let's canoe into one of the sites, stay overnight, and we'll go in and we'll paddle, paddle in. We'll do the hike, and then stay the night and come on out the next day, sort of deal."
Cool.
Okay, that's cool. But there's some of them. One of the ones that he does, and he explains it in our interview, it's called the Snowman.
Okay.
So it's 3 loops that all connect at the top of each loop. So you can actually do like a figure 8 for the first 2 loops, and then sort of around the top loop, and then do the other halves of the figure 8s of the bottom 2 loops.
Looks like a smushed snowman.
Looks like a half melted snowman. But we only did 2. It's 17 kilometers.
Still 17 kilometers.
Still 17 kilometers. And you know what? It was fairly easy to do 95% of it. Apparently they saved all the hills for the end. For the very end.
We should have gone the other direction.
Let's climb that hill. Well, at least that's over. And you get around a corner. Oh, no. It keeps on going. It's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Friends of Frontenac map of all the trails, and they have the lines on it, the elevation gains and stuff like that, right? You can start seeing where they're all really close together, and the elevation gains, and oh man! So so that's what we did, and we got there and did the 2 loops there. And then came back, set up camp, had some dinner, spent some time sitting around the fire, gabbing about everything under the sun, and having a couple of beverages, and went to bed and woke up. I'm thinking, all right, I'm good to go. And feeling pretty good, not as sore as I thought I'd be, and packed up, headed home. That 2.5 hour drive home, I get my driveway, I get out of the truck, and everything's seized up. I'm like, wait a minute. I wasn't sore when I jumped in the truck 2.5 hours ago, and now everything's like, oh, my legs, my hips, my knees, my feet.
Well, it's tough with your joints just sitting stagnant, sitting still.
After that much.
It's not even a comfortable seated position when you're in a car.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, well, and after all that, 17 kilometers walking.
Yeah. There's some damage done to your ligaments. And so.
But no, we saw animals and a lot of nice scenery, a lot of beautiful colors, just all of a sudden, boom, like within the last few days.
Any large animals?
4 deer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Deer, a garter snake, which kind of confused us because the garter snake should be in their snake balls by now.
Yeah.
Ready for winter because it's cold out, right?
It's not that cold yet. It's staying warmer than I thought it would.
Yeah, but I mean, when it's getting down into
singles
at night,
single digits at night, the snakes should be
curled
tucked
up.
Away.
Yeah, and this one wasn't. So I was surprised to see. We saw a bunch of trumpeter swans, lots of blue jays.
Right on.
When I was doing the interview with Kevin Callan, he's talking, and then all of a sudden there's a loon out on the lake, and it lets this woo go. And it's like, that's cool. Blue jays, you could hear blue jays back there and whatnot. Lots of squirrels. So weather was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Nice, cool, bit of a cool breeze, but the sun was out, but not. So it was cool. It was sunny with a bit of cloud. It was like the perfect day for hiking. It really was. Came across a couple of other people on the trails doing a couple of them weren't doing the challenge.
They were just hiking.
There's some people, because some people actually run the challenge.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, okay, good for them. But all day I'm bugging Kevin because there's rules. Like, you can't carry somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you can piggyback me. He says, no, the rules state. I said, I'm not the one doing the challenge, buddy. You seem to forget that. So hooked up with Kevin Callan there to do the Frontenac challenge, and then before we left, I sat down with him at the picnic table and whipped out the recording gear and had a little backcountry conversation with Kevin Callan.
Right on, nice.
Yeah. So you're about to hear that little interview.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
Enjoy.
I wasn't there, so now I have to listen to it.
Now you have to listen to it. So this is me and Kevin Callan in Frontenac Provincial Park, in one of the backcountry sites. And they got picnic tables there.
Oh, nice. Right
and
on.
Tent pads and bare vaults for your food.
Mm-hmm.
So this is us sitting at the picnic table with recording gear and chatting about a whole bunch of different things that he was not expecting.
Oh.
So here you go. This is me and Kevin Callan. Welcome to a backcountry conversation with Kevin Callan. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm good. I'm just checking for ticks right now.
We're checking for tons of ticks. I haven't seen a single one.
No.
None of them walked by.
Nope.
Nothing.
I let everybody know what went on the last 2 days. We are in the wilds of Frontenac Provincial Park. I'm doing the Frontenac Challenge, and you wanted to go on a canoe trip. I said, I have no time for that. I have no time, Sean. I have no time. I'm a very busy man. I'm doing the Frontenac Challenge. I got to hike. And then, you start crying like usual.
Yep.
So I thought, well, look, tell you what, we'll get a canoe, and we'll canoe to Big Salmon Lake campsite. We'll book a site, we'll stay the night, and we'll do 2 loops. We did 2.
We did 2
yesterday.
Yeah. Well, it was 2 loops all at the same time.
Like a figure 8. We did
a figure 8. Yeah. So is that really 2 loops, or is that one funky loop?
I'm just saying it was a long way.
It was a long way. Yeah. It was nice for the most of it. And then towards the end, we found out where all the uphill was.
Yeah, we should have went.
They clumped it.
Yeah,
they clumped all the uphill in one area.
Don't do hills the last bit of the day, especially.
No. Yeah. If we would have went counterclockwise, if we would have went clockwise instead of counterclockwise, it would have been all downhill right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it was all uphill from
And we
there.
did all those hills just to see a pond where a beaver had been living, but he wasn't there.
Nope.
So
his house was.
Yeah, I know. But I want my money back.
Maybe he was out visiting. He went to visit his cousins in the city.
Yeah.
Country beaver and city beaver.
He's got his place. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
You know what? And beautiful weather, too. Sunshiny, some clouds. Now, it looked like it was going to rain yesterday.
Yeah.
And I hummed and hawed about bringing my rain jacket. I'd taken it out, and you said, well, it might rain. So I put it back in, and it didn't rain. So I carried that heavy rain jacket all day.
It's funny. I didn't think you put it back in your pack. And then when I looked up in the sky, I went, this is going to be good film.
And it didn't rain.
No, that's true.
That sucked. Oh, well. So we're out here. Like you say, we did a whole, 10-minute paddle.
Yeah.
From the dock to the here. Yeah. And it was funny because when we got here, because we were so early, we wanted to start. And Kevin's planning was, well, we'll get here, we'll put all our gear on the site, and then we'll do the hike. And then come back and set up camp. Not taking into account, Kevin, that other people use this park other than the almighty Kevin Callan. So we got here for 9 o'clock in the morning, and there were still people on the site.
Yeah.
So we just parked around the corner, ditched the canoe in the bush, hiked up to the hiking trail, did the hike, and by the time we came back, everybody was gone.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So we started the hiking at 9:15, or 9:45, and we finished at 4:15.
Yeah, it was a long day. I'm glad we got to camp when we did, because it gets dark really
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we hadn't set up camp yet.
Hadn't set up camp, and we really didn't eat either.
No.
We had an apple, we had a couple of granola bars and water. I didn't drink nearly as much water as I thought I was going to drink.
No, well, it wasn't hot.
Yeah.
It was a perfect day for walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then sat around the fire and had some food last night and some beverages and went to bed.
Some beverages?
There were some beverages.
Some beverages?
Some denotes anywhere from 1 to 250.
Whatever you served me. It was tequila, wasn't it?
It was the Sean Tequila Sunset, because you drink it at sunset. It is Tang and tequila.
Let's just say I went to the moon.
But it tasted good, didn't it?
It did.
I'm
not a tequila person. give me scotch any day, but
and that bag was filled with scotch.
I could drink that and it wouldn't affect me whatsoever. You give me one bit of tequila.
Were there any ill effects?
You're right. It was fine. It was fine this morning. Yes.
You got up. You were all peppy.
Yes.
We had breakfast.
It was a lovely breakfast you made.
Right?
Yeah.
I never make breakfasts like this.
Well, you can keep doing that.
Don't tell Tracy, because now she's going to expect it.
It was good. It was McMuffins.
Egg and sausage.
Yeah.
And we get these big muffins at Costco. So half a muffin, the cranberry orange muffin. It was tasty.
Yeah. And I made dinner last night. And I didn't make it. I just opened up the package.
And I boiled the water for it. And stirred it.
What were they called again? I call
OTG meals.
OMG.
OMG meals. Yeah. Oh my God, these are good. Yeah. OTG meals.
Yeah.
And we had those. The one was the spaghetti, and the one was the lasagna, and they're always tasty.
Oh yeah, they are good.
And it's some of the meals you get from other companies are like, this feeds 2 people.
No.
If you're from the land of Oz and you're a munchkin, maybe. But these do not feed 2 people, right? But they were tasty, really
Sean,
tasty.
you can't make fun of
the land of Oz.
Yes,
they can.
The Munchkins, you cannot make fun of them.
Well, they don't exist.
Okay, that's true. All right.
Oz doesn't exist, does it?
All right.
As far as I know.
And you saw more wildlife than I did.
Good old Eagle Eye Rolly on the trails yesterday.
Yeah, you saw everything. I missed everything.
You're going on about one thing, and I'm like, Kevin, shh, deer. And there's 2 deers over there, and there's you walk right on by. I look, Kevin, what? Garter snake, and he's just sitting there like, oh my God, that dude almost stepped on me.
I did almost step on him.
And then there was a caterpillar.
Yeah.
And there was something else.
Lots of blue jays.
And crows. I think they were just crows. They weren't ravens.
I know there was a raven and a crow, and they weren't liking each other.
Yeah. Tons of squirrels.
Yeah.
If you like squirrels, this is the place to be.
Oh yeah.
And especially with all the leaves falling.
Yeah.
Because you can hear the wind.
Here now. Look. Yeah. The leaves are falling amongst us.
Right.
There's a blue jay.
It's like we're really there.
Play ball.
No, it's been fun. We've had a good time, and I thought we'd just sit here and have a little chit chat. I figure got Kevin Callan captive for a while. Let's ask some questions. So you're doing this challenge. You've now done 8 of the
7. No, I got 4 more.
Is this only 7? I guess so.
I think so. I've got the...
Oh, it would have been 8 if we've done the 3rd one.
The Hemlock. And I'm glad we didn't yesterday. Yeah. It's called the Snowball. If you do those 3 loops together, it's called... Snowman. Snowman.
Yeah.
But no, we would have got here at dark. Yeah.
I wouldn't have had well, I don't know. I think we probably would have just had enough at some point and just laid down on the trail to snooze for the night.
And curl up in a ball. You kept on cheating, trying to cheat. Well, what if we do this, Kevin? But what if we do this? You can't. You got to do the loop to find the secret code.
But it was like, you can give me a piggyback, Kevin. Well, you can't do that if you're doing that. Well, technically, I'm not doing the whole challenge, Kevin. You are, so you can give me a piggyback ride.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, there was one point where you're like, well, what if we go back the other way? Like, nobody will know.
Let's just go back the other way. Come on. No, you can go this way. No, you got to do this portage portion. It's only a suggestion. But no, we did the whole thing, and it was cool. There was some really nice sections to these trails.
Yeah, and we found the secret codes for
both of them.
Yeah, but and it's so great when you finally see it. Then you're like, oh, great! I don't have to worry about missing it.
Well, we're sitting there on the trail, especially the second one. Looking around at all these things, like animals that you're almost stepping on and killing, and deer that you're missing, and the distillery moonshine thing with bottles everywhere.
Yeah. Old Thor.
We saw Thor again.
Yeah, the big truck.
Yeah, the big truck, and you're looking at all these stuff, and you're enjoying the views, and then all of a sudden, have we been looking for the clue?
A yellow sign in the fall.
Sticking out of a tree. Yeah, maybe we should be checking and see if we can find that. Oops. But yeah, we didn't miss the 2 of them. So.
Yeah. And we saw the poor guy at night.
Oh yeah, they crossed the lake there, but they're and you see it now. It's a big rock face that he was on top of because we're seeing the headlamp.
Yeah, I think that was Russ. Was it Russ?
Less.
So we met this guy on the trail.
Yeah, what is it? Eastern Ontario food blog he does.
Oh yeah, he has his own blog. Yeah, good guy, and he was doing the big salmon, but we saw him later in the day, and he'd only started a quarter of it.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if that was him way up there.
I think it was. Yeah, so this flashlight was going up and down the trail across the lake, and he was booting it. yeah. Well, and that's it looked like he was wandering a bit, and then looking over this way. So I got up and I yelled, "Are you all right?" And then, yep. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. But we're not far from the. He only had a couple of kilometers left, from the park to get to the parking lot where he'd be good. So, yeah, awesome. Totally different people doing this. Like there's the marathon type people that are.
We got passed twice yesterday.
Yeah.
And then there's others like us that are just out there to enjoy it while we're doing it.
Yeah, and I could care less if I actually do the whole challenge. Like, just get me out. Right?
You know what? That's it. You're getting outdoors and you're enjoying it. And if you don't finish, you don't finish the whole challenge. But if you do, you probably never ever do it again.
Yes, and thanks for not laughing when I fell.
Oh yeah. That's it. I did not laugh. I did not point. I did not laugh.
You did put your hand down to help me.
No, I was putting my hand down to make sure you would stay down.
That hurt. That was the end of the day.
Yeah, that's close to the end of the day. You just there was like rocks and roots and everything all in one spot.
I got the stumbles.
But you didn't die.
No, I didn't die.
Yeah, I didn't die. I wasn't forced to bury your carcass somewhere off the trail. So the money Christine offered me for the insurance, I guess I've lost now.
Yeah,
because I'm actually letting you get out of the park alive.
She's having a blast with this because I've done all the other ones in day trips, and I'll get home and walk up the stairs, and I couldn't even get up the stairs into our house. Right? She goes, "Why are you doing this?" Like, why?
Because I'm a young, spry fella.
Oh yeah.
You're having your midlife crisis late.
No. And then I get up the next morning, and I get up at 5 a.m. so I can drive here and start walking, and I get up. I don't know how much meds I'm taking in the morning. Just popping the painkillers.
But you know what? Like at the end of the day, like my feet were a bit sore, my knees were a bit sore, my hip. That's what I've always said is if I ever get anything replaced as I get older, it's going to be my hips.
Yeah,
I've been feeling that on longer portage trips for like 5 years now.
It is, yeah.
And it's just like, at some point I'll probably end up with a new hip or something like that. And but even like got back here just a little bit sore, and even like between the shoulder blades, you get to feel it from the pack all day. And then this morning I woke up and like, all right, good to go.
Yep,
I can go do another one.
Yep,
not gonna, but I could.
We slept in too.
Yeah, I know.
I don't sleep in.
I'm up at 5 every morning. I was like 6:15 there, 13 this morning. Boonk.
Yeah.
Wow, I slept in for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. I do say it's true what the canoeists say about backpacking. It's the longest portage ever created.
Yeah. Well, so yesterday on the trail, we see a couple of backpackers coming towards us, and I make the comment, yeah, you know what? I'm just not a backpacker. That just doesn't, it's not my bag. And as these two girls are coming toward, Kevin Callan! It's like, great.
I forgot to wear my mustache and dark sunglasses.
The Groucho Marx mustache, nose, and glasses, yeah. But yeah, you get recognized on the...
Yeah, it's cool, actually. They were really nice people. They were having a blast on their hiking adventure, and it was really good to see them out.
That never gets old, though. We were discussing that yesterday, about being recognized. Like, I go into the backcountry Temagami. Tracy thinks it's funny. She thinks it's cool, too. So do I, and it'll never get old. And then all of a sudden, you're just like, hey, you're Sean from Paddling Adventures Radio. Yes, I am. And then same with you. I mean, I've been on trips with you, walking places, and like yesterday, Kevin Callan. Yes, I am.
You should see my daughter's reaction when that happened. So there was a time where we're at the lights and some guy cut me off, and I gave him the bird, right?
Yeah.
And even mouthed the word. And his daughter says, "You're Kevin Callan. You're the happy camper." And I go, "I am not happy now." And my daughter's like, "Dad, please drive on. Please, you're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing me."
Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, has a story where there was these young guys in a car did the same sort of thing, and he was mad, and his daughter was in the car, and he gets up at the light, and he looks over at them, and he looks at these kids, and they're all like, "It's Obi-Wan Kenobi." And his daughter does the same sort of, just drive, Dad, just drive.
Father.
Right? Yeah. So, but yeah, that will never get old, being recognized and...
I'm actually, I like it. I'm not, I don't have any issues with it. I mean, in one sense, you have to make sure that. So you know me, you know. There's Kevin Callan. There's the happy camper, right? So, so I'm not that happy camper all the time. I got my show face, they call it, right? But in reality, no, I'm still that nice guy that talks to people, even if I just like talking to people, and I like seeing them outdoors and like helping get people outdoors and. Yeah, and then when people recognize me, I'm the last one to think about that, to be quite honest. I've never really thought too much about it.
Well, we've talked about it on the show before, is like, back in the day, we used to go to these shows, like the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show and stuff like that, and we see sitting in the audience watching these guys going, wow, these guys are cool. And now that I'm one of those guys up there, I'm thinking, they're just goobers like the rest of us. They go home and do whatever. They're just up there to do their thing, and they go out for hikes, they go out fishing, they go out camping, and all that. There is the other side of these people as well.
Yeah, well, even my students, when I taught, they didn't know me as the happy camper. They just knew me as Kevin, right?
Right.
Because I taught them nothing to do with canoeing. It was species ID and stuff like that. It was college course. And then around Christmas, I would always see them like, wait a minute, my parents know you.
How come we all got these books for Christmas?
Yeah, you're on Instagram, aren't you?
Right? Yeah, it's pretty neat. So I got a bunch of other questions I'm going to ask you here. My big number one question, because this is, why whiskey?
Oh, well, Scotch. But I like Irish whiskey. Actually, I had a really nice Irish whiskey the other day. Green Spot. Oh, man, that was good whiskey.
Did you finish it all?
I do not finish. I'm not the Dean Martin of the canoe world.
Can you prove that?
Well, maybe last night I was.
I have never, ever seen you with a full bottle of Scotch.
No, but my daughter has never seen me inebriated. of all, and she's 20 years old.
Wait till she gets a load of this footage.
No, I do like my scotch. I think what it is, to be quite honest, it relaxes me. It's my calming. It's the idea of just pouring a dram in the glass. And I'll do that sometimes when I'm writing. I'll pour a dram, and I won't even drink it until I finish a couple of pages. And it just keeps me calm. Like, I'm a really hyper person. I have huge anxiety issues, right? So, yeah. And the same thing with green tea in the morning. That's my calming mechanism.
Right.
Sitting on the porch and writing. So, but why scotch? I don't know. I don't know, because, I used to drink beer and I used to do that, whatever. But I was never a whiskey guy. Like, I don't drink rye. Rye and Coke, forget it. I'm not that person. But it was the single malt scotch just chills me out. Like, that's why. I just like the idea of it. I'm not a scotch snob. I actually know my scotch. We went to Scotland to do the Spey River.
Yes.
We went to all these whiskey distilleries. And at the end, Belvinny, they visited our camp, and they actually did an amazing job. They went from moonshine to actually their best bottle of scotch, right? Just to show how it was made. And then they gave me a bottle of scotch to take home. And everybody was like, well, that's really good scotch. That's their recipe. And so I didn't know much about it. And I got back and I found out that bottle cost $3,000.
Wow.
Because it was their bottle, right?
Right.
And don't tell your friends you have that.
That's not buddy.
True. Yeah, that's a good debate to ask everybody out there. Would you actually put it on the shelf because it's so expensive, or would you drink it on your own, or would you actually bring your friends over?
It would be... Now, I've always been the one, and I've told you the story, is scotch is there to be shared with your friends.
Yes.
However, if I had a $3,000 bottle of scotch, my booze hound buddy ain't coming over to have any.
Really?
It will be for people... Something like that is for people that enjoy scotch. It's like you enjoy scotch. You will probably never have a chance to drink a $3,000 scotch. Come on over, let's have a glass.
Yeah. I wasn't going to drink it alone, so I did. But I invited my good buddies, canoe buddies, over. The funny part about that was my neighbor at the time, good guy, but he looked like the guy from Trailer Park Boys.
Ricky.
What's the guy that has the rye? In his hand?
Is that not Ricky?
Yeah.
There's Ricky. Bubbles is the one with the glasses.
Yeah.
Ricky. That's Ricky.
I think it's Ricky. So he's that. He comes over with his Ryan Coke and he goes, "What's going on, boys?" And of course, my buddies tell them what's going on. I went, "No, don't tell him. He doesn't know how good the scotch is." And I'm not a scotch snob, but so he goes, "Well, can I try some?" Now I shouldn't be telling the story, and I hope he doesn't hear this. But I went to the kitchen. I poured him the cheapest blended scotch that I had. I think it was Grant's or something like that, and I gave it to him. And for days and days and days, he'd tell everybody how great this time with Kevin was, having this really good scotch. I went, "You buddy, you did not get that scotch."
Yeah, and see that's it. Is I have friends that are into scotch. They like it. They know different types and stuff like that. Those are the ones I would invite over for a $3,000 bottle.
Yeah.
My other friends, like the scotch they drink usually comes in a sippy cup with a straw stuck to the side. they're a complete other group, right?
Yeah.
So scotch is your meditation drink.
Yeah, I think everybody does that. I mean, people just like sitting having a cold beer, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, or coffee or whatever. I don't know when I started drinking scotch though. But yeah,
as long as I've known you.
Yeah.
I mean, we brought that one bottle back for you from the States that one year.
Yes, I get because a lot of people giving me bottles like that. Yeah.
Well, see, and that, I mean, you get the scotch, we get the beer. I am good with that.
It's terrible life we live. It's terrible.
Oh, I tell you. Well, it's funny because when we get beer, we bring it home. I've got a beer fridge downstairs, and when we record, we drink all these different beers every week. Such and such gave us this one, and this one's from like Indiana, this one's from Wisconsin, this one's from wherever. It's like something different that we can't get here. So it's nice to be able to drink those and while we record, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So when you go on a trip, do you ever get asked, so what did you talk about around the campfire?
What did we talk about around the campfire? People ask me when I get home.
Tracy always used to do it. So what did you guys talk about?
Really? Huh. No, actually, Christine doesn't really. I don't think she asked me that. I think she knows what we talk about.
She doesn't want to know what we talk about.
No, I probably tell her before she asks. About Speedo Man, how silly what he did. I couldn't believe this spring. I mean, Chris from Novacraft, the new owner, he goes on a trip with us this year and actually brings his Speedo, right? And it's just wrong. And he does the dance move over Chris's head and everything. I went, this is the owner of Novacraft. Like, he doesn't know you. He knows you now.
And he ain't getting a Novacraft canoe.
Mind you, Chris took it well. Like, he found it funny, so we're all good. But yeah, we talk about that, and she'll probably say, did you bring a Speedo? Or I'll say, I caught more fish, or I didn't catch any fish. We'll talk about that. Or the weather, what the weather was like, what the portages were like, what the bugs were like. I also don't talk a lot when I get home. I sort of... Yeah, a lot of things too. When I go to shows, the outdoor shows, like, that's not really the true Kevin. I'm so hyped up on those shows and so high anxiety, so excited to be there. And I get home and I'm quiet for 3 or 4 days. Yeah. And even ask the people I go canoeing with. Yes, I tell stories for the first couple of days, but after that, I shut down. Like, well, Andy and I just came back from a trip up in the far north of Pasqua. Way up near James Bay, and you ask him, and there was days where we didn't say anything. We just paddled and looked around.
Yeah. No, my standard answer. So, what'd you guys talk about? Everything, nothing.
Yeah. Well, we talked about girls.
Yeah.
Talked about past girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Except that one guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you say about those people that are telling you you're crazy for going out on solo trips?
Well, Bill Mason said it best, that the people that do it don't say it's crazy.
Right.
Right. And he's got a point. My point about it is that I think I'm safer on my own. When you're with a bunch of guys, they have a tendency to think, well, nothing's going to happen to them.
Because we're in a group of guys now.
Yeah, we can throw the axe, no problem. Yeah, let's see if we can hit the apple off the head of the...
Off of Derek's head.
Yeah.
Here, Derek, stand against that tree and hold this apple on your head.
Man.
Hey, guys, watch this. Somebody hold my bear.
But when you're by yourself, you're so paranoid that you're always careful what you do. And it is dangerous. Mm-hmm. I always bring those communication devices to make sure I'm okay. I really enjoy solo tripping. Maybe not the first night, maybe not the second. I get spooked a bit. I'm wondering why I'm out. I have friends. What am I doing this by myself? But then I get to go where I want. I get to eat what I want. I get to wake up when I want. Do whatever I want to do, and really enjoy serenity. Like, I really need to restart the engine.
Yeah.
Right. And then I go back and I'm this hyper Kevin again. Right, do all the shows and in my teachings, right? I was always trying to get those students' attention because they're at-risk guys, right? Their attention span is 2 seconds, but then I need a break after that. And to go on a solo trip, I don't need to talk to someone.
And that's my big thing is it's you. The only people that you need to talk to organize your schedule is you. And if you can't agree,
yeah. And also, it's also because when I took students out too, I was always the planner, always the organizer.
Yeah.
And even with my buddies, they all just assume Kevin's going to plan the trip. And man, it gets tiring after a while.
Yeah.
Because it's all on your shoulders.
Well, even today with breakfast, you didn't know what to do with yourself just sitting there.
I know. No, I can't. No.
Dude, just sit back, relax. I'm making breakfast.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the whiskey. I didn't have whiskey this morning, but maybe that makes me sit down.
Right?
Yeah.
It just chills you out.
Yeah.
So, otherwise you're stumbling everywhere. If you could go anywhere paddling in the world, is there any place that you would like to check out that would be on a bucket list?
Yeah, bucket list.
Outside of Canada and the United States.
Oh. Well, I'll go back to Scotland any day. I think it's amazing paddling there. It's not Wilderness, but the Spey River I would do in a heartbeat again.
And just to going back to your thing about the whiskey on the Spey, you have your videos up of that trip.
Oh, yeah.
On the Happy Camper YouTube page.
Yeah, Casey Happy Camper, and I've written about it before. It was a great journey. We're the good people I went with. And, and we stopped at distilleries and got a taxi to go into town, and... I had to pinch myself. I actually got paid for that. It was a writing job. I got
Your
paid
life
to do
is
that.
hell.
I know.
Yeah. But so other than that, because you've been there, anywhere else in the world you would?
I think it's really, really good to try somewhere you don't know anything about. Like I liked Scotland because I couldn't identify the trees. I didn't even know what burned. I saw a bird. They said it was a robin. I go, that's not a robin, but it's the English robin. It's like a bluebird, right? I love that stuff because I always love learning more. I will teach tree species. I know all the trees that I teach, but I want to know another. Like yesterday, we saw blue beech, right? And I'm thinking, I think that's a blue beech. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure. And I love that. I love it, right? So rivers, I don't know. I would do the Thames River in southern Ontario again. It's the greatest ditch in the world.
Yeah.
I love that trip. I would do. Gosh, I would do the Milk River out west. That would be incredible. I would go back into Nova Scotia, and I forget what the river was called. Where that book? Oh, I forget what the book was called.
And that's when we knew Kevin was losing his mind. Oh, you went when you wrote that. We were in Kejimkujik.
Yeah. So we retraced the route of these guys that went to capture a moose to bring back to the museum. I forget now, but that's a good book. Yeah. So I like going to different places, but also the familiar. I like going back to Algonquin. I like going to the Kawartha Highlands. Like I basically paddle there forever. But even here, I like Frontenac. I don't like Frontenac for canoeing, to be quite honest. The portages are steep and long. But I love, if you're going to be a backpacker, this is a great place. But I like it because I don't know much about it. I've only been here a couple times. And now I've been here, 7 times in a week and a half, hiking every day. So
it's your new second home. Well, you're not too far from here anymore either.
No, it's great. It's
right?
great.
So it's easy to get to.
Yeah, literally just over half hour away. So.
Yeah. Mine would be Australia. If I want to go to Australia, we joke on this show about gators and sharks and all that, but I'd like to head over to Australia and do some paddling there at some point.
Yeah, that would be good.
I know next year I'm supposed to be heading south, and then we're hoping to get to Japan to do some paddling there as well next year. So.
Yeah, that sounds awesome because your daughter is giving you all these stories about hiking up mountains and Asian bears.
Yeah. She asked us to, because we were mailing her some stuff that she couldn't take on the plane, right? So we were mailing her a couple of boxes and winter stuff because winter's hitting over there soon and whatnot. And she says, "Oh, do you have any bear bells?" Why? Well, where we're going, they have like Asian bears. What? I said, yeah. There's bear sightings. So I need bear bell to put on my backpack. So when we're going, scare the bears. Well, okie dokie. So threw the bear bell in, and so that it would be she could put it on her pack. And yeah, she's sending these pictures. So we climbed this mountain today, and sends the pictures. And there's like geothermal stuff underneath. And so you see these steam vents and all the steam coming up in a couple spots and these little steam pools and stuff. And we're like, man.
Yeah. It's cool to go to different places.
Oh, yeah.
I went to Emersville Island near Kingston. Yeah. And you take the ferry across, and these people live on this island, and totally different culture, totally different. It was so cool. And so many birds, birds of prey there, too.
The owls.
Yeah. I didn't know that until we got back, that it was the owl place. But
I didn't know it was the owl place till you said you didn't know it was the owl place.
There we go. But, yeah, I love doing those sort of things. And there was also, Christine and I have gone to different places, too, and just did the car camping thing, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but she is. So, but we've gone to some amazing places just to do that. We went to Lake Hippewa. What was the park we went to? It was a national provincial park. Pemmican, I think it was called, near Lake Hippewa. And it was amazing. And they asked us because they just got the okay that you're allowed your dogs in the backcountry in Quebec, whereas before you weren't allowed to bring your dog.
Really?
Yeah, they had rules for that. So they wanted Ontario people to know. So they hired me to go paddling with 2 dogs and Christine. So, what's that?
Mergansers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mergansers, and they scared the loon under.
Wow.
Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on over there, Kevin.
Oh, there's a blue jay right over your head. Oh, hear the mergansers?
See? Nature's happening all around us.
And you know what mergansers do, actually, too? They kidnap other baby mergansers. So when in the summertime, if you see one female, the males go north after they mate. Mm-hmm. They go to the far north. So the female's on her own. And so she'll have young, but then she'll kidnap other young. And when you see them swimming along the side of the shoreline, they'll be in a half V. And the more small McAnswers making a V, the more minnows are trapped and the more the female gets to eat.
Really?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is like child labor.
It is, actually, exactly.
Wow. Have you ever paddled in the Rockies?
I haven't paddled, but I hiked. When I was young, I moved out there for a bit to do some work in Fish and Wildlife. And I hiked a lot out there. I did paddle the Milk River and some other river I forgot that I caught trout in. But no, it was more hiking out there than paddling.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'd go back there in a heartbeat to paddle it that way.
Mind you, when I came back to Ontario, I was really happy to. I was my familiar. Like, mountains were beautiful, but I liked Algonquin.
Yeah.
I liked Temagami. I wouldn't want to move out west.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a toss-up between northern Ontario and western Alberta.
Yeah. Well, we're blessed to be Canadians, to be quite honest. Like, you asked me about
everything's just so far away.
Yeah. But it's crazy when you get people to come over to, when they visit me, and was it Ray Goodwin and family when they came over last year, they thought they would go to Lake Superior for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I went, no.
You can go for the day, but it'll be a very short day by the time you get there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because they don't have wilderness. So Canada still has wilderness. And I was in wilderness a few weeks back at Pasquay. That was true, absolute wilderness. You imagine taking a float plane from Red Lake and being in that float plane for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And the pilot lands on a lake that has no name. Most of the lakes up there have no names.
Right.
Well, they have First Nations names probably. We don't know.
Yeah.
But no white guy, European, slapped a name on it. And he goes, "See you guys." And that's it, right? And it was absolutely insane. And then, so that's a great adventure. Like, what happened there was forest fires. And so the route that this is the trip that Andy got to choose where we're going, because I took him on the Meanest Lake, right?
Right.
So
this is payback.
Payback as hell. And so he chose that park. We'd never been there before. And you get dropped in there. And then we had to change the route the night before because the forest fires were burning on the west part of the park.
Right.
So he looked at some old maps and a book he had about some route that was there in the southeast part of the park. It didn't exist. So you imagine the first 6 days, we went 4 kilometers in 6 days.
And how far were you supposed to go in your...
120. Because the portages weren't there, so we had to create our own portages.
Right.
Right? And we had to, first of all, scout them, mark them, and then cut them. And then one campsite, we stayed for 3 nights on that site because it took us that long to cut 600 meters.
Wow.
That was insane.
That is some mean payback.
Yeah.
I think his payback backfired.
Oh, my Lord. And then the walleye fishing. So when we made our meals, I think we made 4 or 5 or even 6 meals just for fish because the fishing would be incredible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't put a line in until the 8th day because we're too busy cutting portages and stuff. And we're in all these small ponds. And talk about anxiety. Like, we're in small ponds. We see the smoke haze over us. And, there's no way a plane's landing on that pond to get you. So we got to get out, and we don't know because we still have to cut more ponds, more portages. So we're like, do we go back in time? And in an emergency, that's what we were going to do. We'd go back to the main lake and then call for the plane, right?
Right.
So, but we didn't have to do that. And then we got windbound for 3 days, 3 nights. What? What's going to happen is a bear's going to come.
No, the blue jay's over there by the tree on the ground.
Oh, yeah. He's eating the nuts.
Right?
Tell everybody what we saw yesterday talking about nuts.
Oh, a bear ripped up
this
whole area. And there was like all these nut shells all over the place. Yeah, that was
just completely
destroyed it.
Yeah, and then later on another spot where
the log was all ripped apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Didn't see the bear, though.
No. I know.
Always a bridesmaid, never the bride. So one of the questions I was going to ask here, and last year I went out. I was going kayaking for the day. I got my kayak, and everything told me get out of that boat.
Oh, I remember your story.
Right?
About that.
And I've never felt like that before in a boat. And I could not, like, I had a panic attack. And I had to get out of that kayak, and I couldn't go paddling that day. 3 or 4 days later, jumped in my boat, no problems. What was that all about? Have you ever been on a trip where you're just like, I don't want to be here. I need to get out. And it's one thing to be out on a day trip, but another to be backcountry somewhere where everything's telling you, you know what? Find the nearest exit and head home.
Yeah, that's happened to me a lot, actually.
Well, I mean, besides this latest one with Andy.
No, it's called trust your gut. And I don't know if that's called bush time. I call it bush time. Like yesterday, you asked me what time it is. I was 5 minutes off, right?
Yeah.
Christine said, how do you do that? How do you look at the sun and know exactly what time it is? And I went, it's bush time. I don't know.
I just
but
know.
I do know to trust my gut because there's so many things when I didn't and things happened. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, and I'm not that spiritual person. I'm not saying God's telling me to get out of there or some First Nations spirit, whatever. It's just, something feels odd. And I think sometimes that we're in a very simple world that's more complex than we could ever imagine. And there's something there that actually tells you to get out. And it's a flight thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't listen to it, you're an idiot.
Yeah. It's never happened to me on a trip. No, I've done this is, weather's come in and this is not looking good. This wasn't supposed to happen. I'm making a beeline for the exit. But there's never actually, until that day last year, I've never had anything going like, dude, get off the water. And I made a beeline for the exit. and yeah, I'd hate to be like 5 lakes in somewhere and get that feeling where, I can't be on the water today.
Yeah. Well, then you calm down and say, okay, what do I do now then? And I've seen it so many times where people in a hurry and they get themselves into trouble where if they really thought about what they were doing, why were you going out on that lake? Why didn't you wait a couple hours for the wind to calm down? Mm-hmm. And why did you go right across the middle of it in October? Like, why did you do that? I don't know. Yeah. And maybe in my youth I did that. Maybe I feel like, I shouldn't be doing this now because I learned from my mistakes. Like, everybody makes mistakes, but if you make it twice, then you're a fool.
Yeah. Once is an accident, twice is your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about, I was part of a conversation the other day, and somebody said, because, he said, I used to do some canoe stuff. And he said, what do you do? And I've started listing off stuff that I've done, and somebody else who was part of the conversation started adding to what I've done. And he just looks and says, wow, you're a real one. So going back to the conversation where I'd said, we used to be in the audience looking up thinking, wow. And now we're just finding out we're just goobers. Do you ever feel like that imposter syndrome? Where everybody's going, oh, you're Kevin Callan. You're knowing, well, I'm just Kevin Callan. I'm not, God.
Yeah, people don't look at me like that. I think that why people connect to me is that I'm just a nice person that gets out in the wild a lot and really helps people to get out on trip as well. Most people will come up to me and they thanks for inspiring me, Kevin. That's why they like me, because I inspired them to do something that they really like doing. So it's not like people even say, well, you didn't run that rapid. I went, no, I didn't run the rapid. And they're like, oh, that's really cool because I didn't run it either. As opposed to, I've never been, maybe it was because I was brought up with, those Blue Jays are really loud, aren't they? We're trying to tape a story.
I'm working over here. Can't work like this.
It's interesting, though, that Blue Jay, there's something around here. That Blue Jay is telling us that there's a predator around. Yeah, they're guardians of the forest. That's
and
what
his name is Kevin.
Yeah, the bear's going to come for sure. Right? What were we talking about? People
coming up to you and just regular guy.
Yeah, and so I inspire people. That's why they like it. I write the guidebooks and get them to go out. And I'm not a prick to everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not full of myself. Well, I don't think I am. Maybe I think everybody that's on stage does have a little bit of that. To be quite
narcissism,
honest.
A little bit, just like, hey, look at me, and
well, yeah, because I was a really shy kid growing up, had a speech impediment and stuff like that. So now all of a sudden I'm standing up on the stage talking to people, or I'm on CBC radio all the time. I don't know whatever happened to break that mold, but I'm glad I was brought up by 3 older sisters too, because I'm not a typical, I hate to say this, guys, but I'm not a typical guy. Typical guys get in trouble out there, okay? I'm not that macho marathon type paddler at all. So I don't think about this stuff. These are good questions. I don't really think about this stuff.
See?
Yeah.
As my mom said, you just don't think. I didn't think about that. You just don't think. Yeah.
I do know that I don't do it for the attention. I never have. I know people do that for attention, but they don't last long in whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
It becomes a thing to get attention, and then when they don't get it, they move on to something else. I've done this all my life, so obviously I'm not doing it to get attention from someone.
Yeah, I mean, we had the conversation yesterday about the one thing you said to Derek and I, and we've taken to heart in the 8 years we've been doing this. If you're in this just to make money, don't. Get out now. And it's like, you know how much we made on this show last year? It's probably a negative number. Yeah, if you're not doing this for the love of it.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a good example of that. I mean, there's a few things that people knew what happened to me the last few months, whatever, but there's something that they didn't know. So, I taught at the college for 35 years. They reduced the numbers of the part-time because they cut a whole bunch of environmental programs. Because I'm part-time, a full-timer was going to bump hours. So they didn't fire me. They didn't let me go, but they only gave me 4 teaching hours instead of 12. I can't live off that.
No.
Right? My program was done. The counselors and stuff like that said, Kevin, we need you. Like you, I go, no, you can't run a program on one individual person. I need to move on, pass the baton, I call it, right?
Right.
So I decided to sell my house, and then go and Christine, which we've been together for 6 years now. It's about time, right? Instead of driving to her place every weekend. And then move on and get a place together. But at the same time, I loved the house I was at. I loved the scenery. I loved the town. I lived in Bruce North. But all of a sudden, boom, my publisher. So when you saw me at all those shows since 2022, selling top 70 canoe routes and Algonquin Guide, whatever, and I was having all those crowds and the books were really selling, I made nothing. They did not pay me since 2022 for the royalties. The only royalty I was getting was on my self-published books. And so I only make 8% on royalties anyway. So finally I had to chase them down, and then it took me, just the other day I got some money, right?
Right.
So people would say, well, why are you doing this? Like my entire life fell apart. I had to sell this place I loved, right? And why? Well, I don't do it for money. I knew that going into this.
Yeah.
Right? I'd like it because look what I'm doing right now. My job right now is to hike. I'm writing a story for Explorer to hike Frontenac. I get paid for this.
And I just jumped on your coattail and got an interview out of the deal. Diggity dog. But you got a great breakfast out of it too.
It was a good breakfast.
Yeah. No, and that's the one thing is like, yeah, if you're getting into this thinking you're going to become a millionaire. Yeah.
Well, I wish you did. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody that can figure out how to make money on it. But
you know what? If you can figure out how to do it, that's awesome. But I mean, we look at all the YouTubers and whatnot that are doing this, and none of them are rolling in the dough.
No, I think some of them thought they would, and now they're getting out of it.
There seems to be a decline in the number of YouTubers.
Yeah, but that's norm. There's a lot of people kayaked at one point, and then a lot of people went whitewater paddling, right? So, a lot of people went winter camping actually, and that's dropping down as well. So
you're saying there's seems to be a lull in the winter tent business.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of people going outdoors, which is important.
Yeah, which is very important. Well, I even said it yesterday when we were chit-chatting. It says, I needed this. Because we've had such a stressful time. And like I say, when I got back from our Temagami trip in the beginning of September, I got back to work and found out one of our major presses went down. And it was down for 3 weeks. And like the stress level of that.
Yeah.
It's just like, you got to be kidding here. Like, and to the point where you're dreading your name being called over the paging system. You know, Sean, line 101. Oh crap!
Oh, no.
Here we go again. Well, who wants to yell at me now? So yeah, getting out to nature is like, even though I'm not a big hiker, I needed to be out here yesterday.
I don't care how people get out. I don't care if they have an ATV, a motorboat, or a canoe, as long as they get out and reconnect with nature. Because when nature is in trouble and it's being destroyed, then you won't want that to happen because you connected to it and it's your mother, right? Yeah. You're not going to get your someone to hurt your mother. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the whole thing. Even for example, like I'm backpacking now, and I've had some private messages sent to me, but through social media, saying I'm no longer a subscriber to your YouTube channel. You're not canoeing. That's why I go to your channel. Fine. Don't go to my channel. I'm not going to stop walking Frontenac in the fall because someone is distraught that I'm not in a canoe.
That's when you just say, nice knowing you. Thank you for your patronage. Bye-bye. Yeah. All your books, have you ever gotten to the point when you were trying to come up with creative ideas and everything just seems to be it's been done already?
No. I have always been creative, always been forward-thinking. The guidebooks were an idea to get people out because people weren't getting out. And it was Kirk Whipper that told me that. He was the founder of the Canoe Museum. Yep. And he said, you need to focus on something, and your job is to get people out, right? So I thought, a guidebook. I'll write a guidebook. Then I wrote, about the meanest link. I wrote a book, and some people said, well, that's not a guidebook. I want a guidebook. I went, well, I'm sorry, this is not a guidebook on the meanest link. But other people loved that book.
Yep.
And then I wrote, the only time I had writer's block was during pandemic, actually. I was in a lockdown by myself and the dog, and I couldn't write at all. And I was working at CBC Radio doing some stuff in my house, like in the studio. And Margaret Atwood actually was in the green room, like what we call it. Like, so she was on before me and stuff. And she goes, Kevin, are you writing? I went, I'm actually not. I'm trying. It's just garbage. And she goes, you got all day to write. I'm sorry. And she was trying to help me out. I got nothing for her. And then when we were allowed to finally go out on trip, I went on a very short, I think 3-night in Algonquin. Came back and I wrote my memoir. Boom, done. And where did that come from? Because being in the woods inspires me.
Right. Not
sitting at home looking out the window hoping the pandemic goes away.
Yeah. So there's always something you can look at and go to where all of a sudden, boom, that creative spark starts.
Yeah. I mean, but it's almost like I call myself I've become Loverboy or whatever, those 70 bands, right? Because everybody knows me from the guidebooks, but then I'll get something brand new. Like I just finished a kid's book with Cliff, this illustrator. You'll see it soon. It's a fantastic book. And I think it's one of the best things I've done, but people will still remember me from the Algonquin Guide.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you got to branch out.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, all creative people have to.
Yeah.
You can't live off your past.
Well, not in this business.
No. You see, it's nice to learn from your past and rethink about things. Like I did that when I wrote my memoir. It was all about what I'd done, but it was also what I'm going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no problems, just solutions.
Yep. I'm not going to tell you the comments we had on this one afterwards. If you were not doing what you're doing now, author, canoeing, teacher, outdoor education, what would you be doing?
I don't know, because I just fell into all this. Like I'm self-taught paddler. I'm self-taught writer. I'm self-taught editor. How I ever got on CBC is beyond me. Like why was I chosen? Mm-hmm. And because I don't know. I think it's because I'm so hyper. Nobody's going to stop me.
Is there anything before all of this that you thought, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a fireman? Or
I was going to be a drummer.
A drummer in a band.
Yeah.
Well, you were a drummer in a band for a while.
I was terrible at it.
What was it? The Stinky Armpits or something?
No, it was. I'll tell you a great story. I love this. So, I was honored to be the keynote speaker at the Sioux College graduation this year. And that's where I graduated in 1982, I believe, maybe 84.
You are old.
Yeah, I am old.
Wow.
But I was the worst student in the world. Like I was a daydreamer. I got terrible grades. I even failed one semester. So, but they asked me to be the keynote at the graduation. I went, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so I got there, and I remember going to Lee's and getting, oh yeah, that's right. So they said, tell you what, Kevin, how about we pay you to be here for all 3 days, and you be the speaker at all the graduation ceremonies, like the nursing, the business, the forestry, which is what I graduated for. And that was what I was supposed to do, just the forestry and then go home, right? So I went, okay, well, you're paying me. Sure, that's great. So I said, gosh, I guess I need a suit. I had one suit, but I went to DeLee's and I got 4 shirts and 4 ties, and my daughter starts laughing. She goes, Dad, you're going to be wearing a gown. Do you know what a graduation is? I went, no, I didn't even go to my graduation. So I get there, and I'm used to speaking in front of a large audience. I don't get nervous at all. But oh my goodness, I was nervous. I was so nervous because I got into the fitting room with all the dignitaries, the administrators and stuff like that, which I'm not. And I realized I'm out of my element. Right. And I had to show them my speech, and it had to be a motivation speech, which was fine. And I made 3 motivational ideas. One is to always be yourself, no facade, trust your gut, and
a real loon.
Wow, that's incredible. Listen to me. Just listen to that.
No, he just dove.
Oh, probably.
I think that was, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yes, and I forget the other thing. Anyway, motivation stuff, right? So ended up, I was quite nervous, so I had to go for a walk. And at the Sioux College, they have a ceremonial area where the First Nation elder does a smudge, or you put tobacco in the fire. And I thought that was great. So his name was Gary, I think, and I sat down with him, and he asked me who I was, and we started talking about the North, and started talking about places I knew at the North, and he knew that place, and about fishing and stuff, and I was telling him stories, he was telling me stories, and then okay, I got to go do the speech. So we're going to do the lineup, and there's the main administrator, the president, and he goes, "We're good?" I went, "Yeah," and I had the speech in my pocket. So I love this story. So I ended up, we get there, and there's the first group, and there's hundreds of students, and we go out there, and all the administrators do their speeches, which are very, very nice, but a little dry, right? And I'm thinking, Kevin, who cares about the administrators and who's paying for you to be here? It's the students that want to listen to something, right? So I get up, and I'm like, start my first speech. I went, well, hello, everybody. I graduated here in 1984, and, but it was kind of I didn't think I really needed college at the time. I thought it was a waste of time because I was in a all-girls punk band called Santa Syphilis in high school, and I was going somewhere. That's not in the speech. And the president was looking at me like, what the heck are you doing? He goes, what, like Santa Syphilis? And then I said, yeah. But then my dad said I'm a bad drummer, and then I needed a backup. So this was just my backup to go to college. And then it so happened to be I worked in the field, and then started writing, and now I'm a best-selling author, and then I finally had my chance to go on in the media across Canada. And this was a big thing, and all my colleagues said, don't mess it up, Callan. This is your big break. Like, this is the big show. Don't mess it up. Okay. So I said, always remember to be yourself. Always remember that, right? And whatever you graduate from, but be yourself, right? Trust your gut. So then I went on the TV station, and the story goes that the male host didn't like camping, and he said, let's just get this over with. Now, the female liked it, but I had all these camp gadgets on, and I've told the story before, but I told this to these students, right? And on there was a Whiz-Easy, a device that women use to urinate standing up. And then when the light came on and went live across Canada, the guy picked it up and said, what's this, Kevin? I said, it's a whistle. Give it a try. And he infuriated. He threw it down. He got mad at me. And I got home, and my colleagues were like, why? Why did you do that? Well, he didn't like camping. He deserved what he got. I trusted my God, and I was myself. The next day, at that time, my wife at the time and I were trying to have a child by in vitro, and we had no money. Bic Lighter contacted us and said, we saw you on TV. That's quite humorous. We'll pay you to be on TV if you show a big lighter. And I go, well, I already did show a big lighter, a barbecue lighter, the stove you made breakfast with this morning.
Right.
Yeah. The
whisper
flames
light there,
up,
yeah.
right. And so every time I held it up, I got money. Well, in 4 days, I made $8,000, and Kyla was born.
Because of Bick.
Yeah, I was going to call her Bob Isaac Callan if she was born. But so anyway, and then each day when I talked to the students, if they're nursing students, I changed the story again. It wasn't that story; it was another one. And I would every night at the hotel, I would think of different stories that happened to me in the bush that actually relate to them, right? And I was full of stories, right? And my speech never came out of my pocket. And at the end of it, all the administrators were like, what story are you going to tell today, Kevin? This is fantastic. And the most beautiful thing about it was I went to the hotel room the last night, and the woman there, she goes, oh, I heard you speak today at the graduation. I wanted you graduated. Oh, yes, good, graduate from business. That's great. I go, how was it? She goes, well, it had to be good because I was asleep before that, and my buddy woke me up and made, hey, this guy's good. So grab the attention, right?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Grab their attention, but have meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always be yourself. Yeah. We never stop learning, right? That's the thing is I know that I don't know everything, right? That's that little saying. Are there any backcountry skills that you would still like to learn?
Oh, my daughter says I can't put a tarp up if I tried. Like, yeah. I did put up. I had a hard time putting it up.
Did we not have a tarp?
We did, but I had. You watched me yesterday. I had a hard time putting a tarp up. And
I was having a great time watching you put that tarp up.
Oh yeah. And also, when I taught species, I would teach mineral ID one week, and my daughter would see me with the mineral kits, and she goes, "You still don't know them." And the students know that you don't know them. Why are you even teaching that anymore?
Yeah, I go out and I know I've seen all these trees thousands of times, but. Yeah, okay, that's a birch, but what kind? That's a maple, but what kind? I don't know. It's a tree. I knock on it. It sounds like it's wood. It's a tree.
I know my trees. I know my birds of prey because I worked in that field. So you get to know. Like I can look at a bark of a tree and tell you what it is. Even in the fire, I know what piece of wood that is. But I don't know my minerals.
Pitter patter, buddy. Pitter patter. You're getting older.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Do you start to see an end date for your big trips, or are you going to do it till you can't anymore? Do you think it will be after a trip where you say, that trip felt harder than it should be? I could have done that easily 5 years ago. Or is it going to be in the middle of a trip where you think, this is the last one?
No, I've always thought that I wouldn't slow down, but I would slow down the portages, and I don't like that a Pasquay trip we did. Why we went there? Like Andy has a hip replacement, bad knees. I have major arthritis all over my body now, and I have suffered from vertigo for many years, bipositional vertigo, which is probably why I fell on the trail yesterday. So yeah, I'm not a fool, and I'm not going to go and do the meanest link again. I would never do that, but I will do some trips that are less portaging. I don't want to reduce the amount of time though that I'm out. I just like being out. Mm-hmm. So so for example, I'll do Georgian Bay coastline if I have to, right? Right. So I am more sore getting out of the tent. So yeah, maybe in a couple of years you'll see Christine and I in the trailer at the campground, but there's no way I'm going to stop going on canoe trips.
Do they have like a portage walker? Little wheels on it? There's Kevin going down the portage with his backpack and his walker.
Oh, no. Well, and that's the thing, too. It's like, I was told when I had the vertigo, and it's quite brutal at times, but I'm on meds for it to, and then I do a head spin we talked about, right, where you flip and the crystals move, and then you can cure yourself, right? But no, the doctor said, "What are you doing going on solo trips? Like, what you should never be doing that." And I went, "Well, why do you think I'm getting this?" So probably because I'm all stressed at work. Why? And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to stop going out just because I get a spinny head.
See, my thing is, I think I'm gonna do it till I can't anymore, till I physically can't. But I got to think at some point, my long trips are, from these 18-day trips down to a 10-day trip, down to a 7-day trip, down to a 3-day long weekend, to an overnighter, to day trips, to, he's dead. That's how I figure my career in paddling is going to end.
Yeah,
it's just going to dwindle down smaller and smaller.
I really don't hope that, because this magical moment just a few weeks ago when we're flying over just north of Woodland Caribou and Wabakimi, and we're going up towards James Bay, and literally being in a bush plane for over 2 hours and looking down and just seeing wilderness.
Yeah.
Right? I never want to stop doing that. That was incredible. That was like, I have dreams at night of that flight. Mm-hmm. Right? I can smell the gas.
Like I always say, when we lived in Moosonee, there was these old skidoos, and like just the smell of the exhaust. So bad for you, but if I smell that exhaust, it's like, oh, I just love that smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they could only get the new car smell.
Yeah.
The old Arctic cat smell for a little hangy thingy off my mirror, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is the last question. Is there anything you do on a solo trip but you don't do on a group trip?
Wow. That I don't do on a group trip. I'm doing a solo trip. I sing more.
Well, that was what I was saying yesterday, because we touched on that. It's like, if I'm by myself, I sing. I talk to myself too, but I mean, I do that at home.
But I also read a lot. Like if with my buddies, I generally don't bring a book. If it's a long trip with Andy and stuff like that, we'll bring a book, whatever, to read at times. But I always enjoy sitting in the campsite and reading. And journal, I don't write a journal anymore with a group, but by my own. Interesting, actually, on that trip with Andy, like I didn't bring a journal. I was trying to reduce my weight for everything because we need to. And he brought a journal, and I was like, gosh darn it, Kevin, like what are you doing not writing about this? So I used the back of my topo maps as my journal,
right?
Which is completely full of notes now. Like, and just to write down your thoughts, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. I do some poetry. I do some writing and stuff like that while I'm by myself. And with my phone, I mean, I've got my cell phone, but when I'm in the backcountry, the only reason I have my phone, quick pictures, and it's got a notes app. I open that up and I'm left home at this time, stopped for gas, stopped in Huntsville for a donut and a coffee, got to the site, launched at this time, first portage this time, so I can get back and I have a detailed of times so that I know later on, if you're going on this trip, this is how long it should take you to get here to here to here to here to here sort of thing. And that's what, instead of, I used to bring, I've got a bunch of these little notebooks at home. These little crappy ass from the dollar store notebooks where I'd open it out, get my pen, write everything. Now I just open this, get the fingers going, and all that sort of stuff. And
it is different. Actually, you found out last night too. Like I'll smoke a pipe.
Yeah, what the heck is that?
It relaxes me.
There's old Popeye the Sailor Man sitting next to me, tooting on the old pipe there.
sitting having a whiskey and smoking a pipe and watching the fall colors change. And
the only thing you were missing was the smoking jacket. And
I have a smoking jacket.
A big comfy chair. Surrounded by books in the library.
Yeah. I don't do it a lot. My grandfather used to smoke, I think, a pipe, and I used to love the smell of it.
Yeah.
I think I started doing it for that reason. But I don't really smoke a lot. No.
I've never smoked, and it's my dad smoked a pipe for a while. I'm like, ooh, that smells so much different.
Yeah,
pipe tobacco isn't your regular stinky
no
cigarette smoke.
No, I'm not a smoker. I've never been a smoker. My dad was a smoker, but yeah. No, I don't know why. Why do I drink whiskey and smoke a pipe? I have no idea.
Because you're Kevin Callan.
Yeah.
That's why. That's all you need to know. That's my last question.
Well, you said Derek was going to ask if I ever killed someone.
Oh, he said don't ask that question for real. So have you ever killed a man and buried their body in the backcountry?
Not yet.
Not yet. Dave's still young.
We haven't left.
Where's Derek? Where's Derek? The other one was, I shouldn't really say this, but the question about if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing besides porn?
Oh, well, I wouldn't be making a living, I tell you.
Be selling my butt in the street corner. Why do you ask? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I always thought that if I didn't go into what I did, it wouldn't matter what I did, but I could see what my dad did. He worked at a factory for 45 years. Mm-hmm. I'd be fine doing that. I'm a good worker. I like work. He was, he loved his colleagues, and I do too. Like the people I work with, that means a lot to me. The friendships you have at work. So it didn't matter what I did. And actually, like, I'm not the happy camper all the time. I do other jobs. I mean, I did drywall for a long time. When I got good at it, and I found out that I was the only one that wasn't doing drugs.
Really?
Yeah. I asked the guys, I go, why are you doing cocaine during work? Because we do drywall for a living. That is why we do drugs.
Well, apparently you never got the memo.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Why did Kevin fired? Because he wasn't doing the cocaine.
When I was working at the college and they reduced hours, this was way back in the day when Callan was a baby. I just needed to, I made money in the summer guiding and stuff, but then in the winter I needed to, I was renovating the house, so I would do some reno jobs and to get a door for the job. Like, can you do that job? I dug septic holes and I did all that. Like, I've always done work like that to make money. I'm not a lazy person.
Right.
Yeah, like I said this morning, my dad said, you always have to be hungry. You won't be lazy if you're always hungry.
Right. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Right out in the middle of...
I know.
Of somewhere.
Actually, the weather is changing.
Those clouds are coming in now.
Okay, let's go. We got to go.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks for doing this with me, Kev.
All right, yeah.
It's been a slice. Thanks for coming out here and inviting me along on this trip. And hopefully you get all 11 trails done.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty sore right now.
Kevin did all 11. I saw him. Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah, he gave up on the challenge of getting all the names of the lichen. And,
the only one I'm worried about is it's called the Slide Lake Loop.
Right.
And it's, I think, 24 or maybe 26 kilometers. Wow. And I can't do that in a day. People do it in a day.
Could if you run.
Yeah, I'm not going to run a trail.
Why?
That's not what I do.
Well, you want to get 26 kilometers done in a day, you do.
So I'm gonna backpack it with a pack and sleep along the way. And you can do that. That's legit. So I think I'll do that one. The other two I can do in early mornings. What I've been doing is getting here really early and doing a hike, and then I'll get home at 2, and then Christine and I will do something. Yeah.
Yeah. Now she's done this challenge.
She did it. I think 10 years ago. With another man, I heard, too. Like she was dating someone.
Scandalous.
I know. She doesn't talk about it much.
Right? Has she ever killed a man and buried him in the backcountry?
Probably what happened. No, she was quite proud of herself. She actually went on a solo backpacking trip here as well. And she just loves thinking back to those times. Yeah. I mean, she's not doing the hikes with me now. We've got the 2 dogs. Her dog is quite old, and my dog is getting old too. So we can't bring the dogs on these trails.
And they got to be on a leash.
Yeah. I couldn't see my dog on a leash.
If I brought Athena here and put her on a leash the entire time, I wouldn't have made it past the parking lot.
Yeah, no, my dog's a border collie, so I do a lot of Crownland canoeing. So she'll go with me and she'll boot down the trail, and she needs the energy, right? So no, she's taking care of the dog, so we'd be doing this together.
So I'm the Christine substitute. Is that what you're saying?
You're not at all. You're not.
I'm just not up to that level.
She wouldn't feed me tequila.
No, because she keeps it for herself. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Thanks.
So what did you think of that, Derek?
It's a very interesting set of questions. There's a lot of... Kevin has a lot of experience under his belt. He's done a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to hear him discuss other potential projects or ideas that you got him thinking about, stewing about.
Yeah, I was interested in finding out, he goes into nature, and that's where he gets his creative spark from and stuff like that. Well, I
can see how so instead of being inundated with constant messaging and information and news and this, that, the other thing. You get out in nature, and it's like your brain can open up, and you're not being inundated by all these things. And so it does allow the brain, like you hear about the group of 7 when they would just head off into nature and paint, and they got their inspiration through being out in nature. And a lot of people do the same thing. There's some people who don't find inspiration of that, but you know what? There's I can see where a lot of the trips that I've been on, I think better out there. I'm not distracted. Distracted.
Yep. And the getting older thing.
Yes.
Because when I was talking, I asked that question about, do you see a potential end date to your tripping? And we always say, I'm going to do it till I'm dead.
Yeah.
Sort of deal. But then you were talking about a post that you saw on Facebook, which is like, how weird.
It just popped up. Was it today's post? I think it was today. It was like this morning. Anyways, for anybody's listening, it would have been earlier in the week. But Cliff Jacobson has posted. He stated that he's on the downside of his tripping phase. He's not going to be able to do extensive river tripping or expedition style tripping, and so he's decided that he's going to be selling his. He just said, here's some electronics that I'm getting rid of. So he's getting rid of his sat phone, his VHF UHF radio, and for some reason he had a CB. But he does say in his post that, hey, CBs are useful when you want to talk to shipping or or trucks or whatever, right? So it was interesting. It's like, you ask Kevin about, hey, what about the downside of your tripping phase of life? And Cliff Jacobson came out and made his decision today.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was kind of a interesting little thing that I saw today. Today for me about Cliff Jacobson. It's got to be tough to admit to yourself that, actually, like I joke about it all the time. I'm too old for this. I'm too old for this. But you know what? Cliff has made a decision that he's just too old to do extensive tripping. It gets to a point where it starts to become dangerous and risky.
See, and that's one of the ones one of the options I said to Kevin there, when you listen to the thing there is, are you going to just start whittling it down?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to kind of think, for me, that's probably what would happen. I go from the multi-day trips to, like a long weekend to an overnighter to day trips to, he's dead.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But no, it was a pretty good little chit chat session we had, and learned a few extra things about Kevin and whatnot. So and just one of the things that kind of got into my mind with your interview with Kevin and the posting by Cliff Jacobson, and it's got me thinking: is there any real big anchor people out there? For me, I think of canoe tripping and kayaking and so on. And I can't think of anybody. There was Bill Mason back in the day, Becky Mason now, and there's Kevin Callan, Cliff Jacobson. So I can't think of any up-and-coming people that anchor the industry that are these searchlight lighthouse. Well, you got the
type.
Adam Schultz and the Frank Wolfs and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yes, I forgot about them. Yeah, so Adam Schultz, Frank Wolf. There's a few people out there that are still carrying on the image and the dream of it. Like it's almost like has a air of romance, like canoe tripping and expedition paddling and so on. There's a lot of people out there that do this stuff, but not a lot of people that are so active in the industry to be a name in the industry.
Yeah, the tops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a few.
There's a few. But you don't hear too many up and coming people.
Mm-hmm.
There's the establishment.
Yeah.
Or the established ones.
It's the establishment.
Well, that's
down with the man.
That's why I corrected it. It's
Fight
like,
the
wait, we're not talking about establishment here. It's the
disestablishmentarianism.
The established individuals.
Yes.
So
yeah. There's a few, but we need more.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So again, big thank you to Kevin Callan for a great hiking / canoe trip and sitting down and chit-chatting for a while. I'm sure it's a trip that he won't forget very soon. He's going to be putting out the video of our hiking portion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's probably going to be after portions too. So yeah,
excellent.
Other than that, you got anything else?
I do not.
Alrighty. Well, if you want to find more about us, you can find us at paddlingadventuresradio.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Also YouTube. You can download or stream all our episodes on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Player FM, and all your favorite podcast downloading sites. Or you can just go to the episode page at Paddling Adventures Radio and stream or download all our episodes there. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with friends, family, and fellow paddlers. I want to thank everybody for listening this week. I'm Sean Rowley.
And Air Deck's Best. We'll see you next time.